Welcome back, and to shed more light on the current situation, on the escalation and the negative developments taking place in the Middle East, we are very much delighted to have with us via phone His Excellency Ambassador Medhat Meleegy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you very much for being with us, sir, and a very good evening.
Very good evening to you and to your viewers.
Ambassador Meleegy, the last few days witnessed very intensive talks, whether by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, as he had phone talks with American President Joe Biden, with Jordanian King Abdullah II, and he also received Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, and most of these talks were focusing on the current escalating situation in the Middle East, particularly after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, the Hamas leader in Qatar, and Shukr, the one also of the top leaders of Hezbollah. How do you see the extensive talks held by Egypt to try to contain the situation, whether by the president, as I mentioned, or also by our top diplomat Badr Abdelati, as he also had phone talks with a list of his counterparts, Hakan Fidan, Sergei Lavrov of Russia, Ayman Safadi of Jordan, Iranian foreign minister, and more?
Well, actually, I think the most important thing is that those contacts shows to which extent the whole region is on the verge of a regional war. And this was actually, I mean, it doesn't come as a secret, since we have always known that the Prime Minister of Israel and his extreme right government are seeking to extend and to escalate this war to the maximum in order to save their political future. This government has lost long ago, I could even say starting from the 7th of October, 2023. They lost their credibility in front of the Israeli voter because of their incompetence regarding, according to the Israeli point of view, their incompetence in protecting the Israelis from the attacks of the Palestinian liberation movements. So accordingly, their only way to secure their position and to stay in power is by escalating the war. And that's why we have seen on several occasions, although the excruciating offers and the efforts presented by Egypt and other allies such as Qatar and the United States to find a solution, where always Prime Minister Netanyahu finds a way to sabotage these initiatives in order to stay in power by escalating the scope of the war and the number of countries that are involved. We cannot say that, I mean, after being very close from a solution recently, and even after the acceptance of Hamas of the last proposal, came the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh to put one more obstacle in front of reaching a solution to calm the situation. So I think Egypt and all the efforts done, I mean, until the last call today between His Excellency, our President, and King Abdullah of Jordan, the phone call that were exchanged today, and even President King Abdullah, his several phone calls that he made during the last few days with the French President Emmanuel Macron and with Giorgia Meloni, the Italian Prime Minister, and the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, to explain the danger of expanding the circle of conflict in the region. And as you mentioned in your introduction, there are several meetings and phone calls that His Excellency, our President, exchanged with various leaders in the world to show to which extent that the whole region is on the verge of an explosion because of the reckless Israeli behavior. We hope that the American will be able to convince Israel, although we have seen that they failed on several occasions.
Who should convince Israel, sir? I mean, is it going to be Joe Biden until we reach the coming November, or is it going to be the talks between Kamala Harris and Netanyahu, or Trump and Netanyahu? Who should represent America in the time being? Or is it going to be the American administration?
Well, I think Mr. Biden has a golden opportunity to embrace and to put his name in history by being a strong leader to tell Israel what they shouldn't be doing. He doesn't have anything to be scared of since he is not presenting his candidature for the next 4 years as President of the United States.
Yeah.
So he has the power to convince Israel, but unfortunately, what we've seen even the last couple of days shows that the Mk-83 and the Mk-84 is on its way to Israel. Those are half-ton bombs and one-ton bombs that are capable of killing hundreds of civilians, as Israel have always been doing ever since the 7th
And
of October.
also, His Excellency, the Jordanian Foreign Minister had a rare visit to Tehran where he held talks with his Iranian counterpart, Ali Bakri Qani. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And to go there and to discuss this in specific with the Iranian top diplomat to try to contain the situation face to face, I think this is another proof that really the Middle East is on edge and it needs every single effort on the diplomatic front to try to stop it here. To try to stop it on the diplomatic front and not to move forward and to be on the ground, because this is not going to be for the best interest of any, particularly as many Western countries are giving direct instructions to their nationals to leave Beirut now. And we all followed the situation in Beirut International Airport, where lines and lines of European nationals who cut their holidays and returned back home.
Well, you put your finger on the problem now, or even on the next step. How Iran is going to respond to the attack that happened in a very humiliating way to the Iranian authorities and to the Iranian intelligence services that have proven a complete failure and incompetence vis-à-vis what happened. This was an official guest of Tehran, and the attack took place in one of the most prestigious and well-guarded palaces with bulletproof glasses and everything. And nevertheless, Israel managed to kill Ismail Haniyeh in his own room in this palace. So I think this cannot be more humiliating to Iran as it happened. However, we have always seen and learned from Iran the diplomatic answer or the diplomatic response to anything. It's always calculated. So how is it going to be this time? This is something that is only in the heads of the leaders of Iran. How are they going to respond? Are they going to respond alone or simultaneously with Hezbollah and with the Houthis? It's going to be something collective or just one effort from Iran? What will the scope
Simply nobody
of the response
knows.
will be?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of things that we cannot really say here, but from my experience with the Iranian, and we've seen this recently after the attack on their embassy in Damascus, we've seen that their response is always calculated because they have a bigger target, as we always know. They are already in confrontation because of their nuclear program. They don't want to jeopardize this because they want to continue. I'm sorry?
Was it a real response? Was it a response which can be considered as a real response? But far from that, sir.
Well, this is what they saw
said.
fit for the occasion. So let's see what will happen here. We hope that it will be calculated. We suffered, we as Egypt personally, with our Suez Canal, with the Houthis that are actually threatening the marine way in the Suez Canal, or by the Palestinian issue that is right on our borders. So we suffered from this. So we hope that the Iranian response will not be one that will escalate
because
the situation to higher
we should not pay this heavy price. Amen to that, and I do agree, sir.
Just one thing that is very important that I want to mention. I don't know why recently, if you have taken a deep look to the news recently, that it's always coming from the West that the Iranian response is tonight, is tomorrow, is coming very soon, is this, is that. And we don't hear anything from Iran itself, which sounds like as if there is a provocation from the Western media and the Western even authorities to escalate the scope of the war. We haven't heard anything from Iran, but yet we still continue to hear about the Iranian response from Western leaders. Even Biden himself, Mr. Trump himself spoke about it, and many other Western European leaders. And this actually is a big question mark, why it is always them who are announcing the scope of the Iranian
and why it's always them who are
attack.
asking or given instructions to leave Beirut or to leave Lebanon now. I mean, leave now. I mean, the Swedish embassy, for example, to close its embassy in Beirut. I mean, and simply, sir, since you mentioned the Israeli assassination to Ismail Haniyeh, you mentioned that. True?
Yes.
Great. Until the moment, I think nothing stopped Israel from their barbaric aggression in Gaza. True?
Yes, exactly. I mean, we've seen it, and not just that, with the complete support of the United States and most of Western countries.
This is not my question, sir.
An established fact. They're all accomplished in the genocide that is taking place in Gaza. This is a fact that has to be established.
I mean, nothing stopped Israel from their aggression, whether on the schools or hospitals sheltering civilians, and we all saw ourselves, I mean the whole world, witness or saw what's going on with the Palestinian civilians who are suffering catastrophic humanitarian crisis. True? True.
Yes.
But until the moment, we have not read or listened to any of the Israeli officials an Israeli official claim of responsibility on Ismail Haniyeh's assassination. Do you have any explanation?
Yes, because actually we do not count. It's very simple. I mean, for them, this is a leader of a terrorist organization, and accordingly, he should have been killed as Israel have done it. This is their perception. That's why we've seen even, a response from various European leaders that are seeing this as a normal result of his attacks or the attacks of Hamas on Israel on the 7th of October. Everything has started the 7th of October according to Western media and Western leaders. Nobody wants to see what led to 7th of October. They didn't want to see when Mr. Netanyahu in the United Nations, in front of everyone, carrying a map of the Middle East where Palestine is totally out of the map. Yeah. And they don't see this as a provocation. And many other things. I mean, Gaza, as we all know, the population of Gaza alone is several hundred thousand, no more. But how did it reach 2.3 million? It reached 2.3 million because it keeps getting refugees, Palestinian refugees, from other lands of Palestine. And yet, they don't want to see this as a hostility. They don't want to see this as a war crime. And accordingly, this is what is the result. The idea, I mean, not one single country have declared that it is going to ban any weapons to Israel. On the contrary, we've been reading in a very, very clear manner that they're still providing Israel with the weapons it needs. This is the idea. And I'm not blaming them. We should blame the other parties who are not taking the measures that they should take in order to defend the Palestinians from their aggressor. This is the problem. It is not the problem of those countries who believe in Israel's right to secure itself. And not just that. I mean, even if we look a little bit closer in the United States, Mr. Benjamin Netanyahu, who is the Prime Minister of Israel, accused of committing a genocide, his country, his state, and plus he himself is asked by the International Criminal Court to be present in front of it for crime
But he
against
instead went
humanity
to the Congress
allegations.
and
all
continued
this, and yet,
continued with his lies.
Mr.
Yeah.
Netanyahu is invited to the Congress for the fourth
Amen.
time.
This is it.
Something that
This
had
is the
never
double
happened
standards
before,
we are all suffering
to
from.
speak before the Congress
The congressman.
and to speak before the American people about what Israel is about and so on. Another example, I'm sorry to say it, but I think this is very pertinent and we have to speak about it. We have now the Olympics in Paris. Israel is received, although all the crimes that the state have committed, and Israel is received like any other countries, with many boos maybe from the public, but yet the Olympic Committee, the state,
and the Russian and Belarusian athletes are competing under neutral flag. Yeah,
although
that.
the crimes committed by the Russian in Ukraine are much less and not to be noticeable, I mean, compared with what Israel has done. So there is a double standard. We don't need to re-establish this fact once again. What we need to do is to see from our side how we are going to defend the Palestinian people.
Amen to that, sir. Ambassador Medhat Meleegy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, thank you very much for your input, sir, and have a very good night. Right after the short break, we are going to return back with more. Stay tuned.